Hey everybody and welcome back. If it's your first time here, welcome to this channel. I'm David Townsend. This is the Net Academy where we are learning networks together. And on this video, on this part, what I'm actually doing is I'm starting a brand new series into a particular product from a vendor. Now usually I actually talk about switching protocols, about routing protocols and the technologies and the pros and the limitations and of course the Juniper do not configuration. But now I'm actually going to start talking about a particular product set, and that product set is Mist AI or Mist Artificial Intelligence. And there's a few reasons why I'm doing this. And full disclosure here, I do work at Juniper Networks, but I'm not doing these videos because I work at Juniper. I'm doing it because the reality is that Juniper's Mist AI product and offering and technical capabilities are just growing week by week, month by month, year by year. And I'm not just saying it, this has just been proven in many different areas of the market. When you look at enterprise, retail, healthcare, higher education, etc., the capabilities of Mist AI are just growing significantly. And this is all due to the way that the Mist platform, the Mist product, has been built up from the ground up over all of these years. And there's a lot of aspects to Mist, and it is constantly growing, and that is because one of the components of Mist is a microservices offering, a microservices solution. And so it's continuously growing, it's continuously adapting, and because of the AI, it's also continuously learning. And AI is such a huge buzzword these days, and everyone seems to be doing it. Now, the purpose is not to do any competition bashing. That's really not my style. That's not my intent here. My intent is to give from a non-biased perspective, in this video particularly, what is Juniper's Mist AI? What does it actually offer? And where is this area of visibility when we start looking into what does it actually offer? Is it for the wireless or Wi-Fi only? Is it for the switching network, or is it both of those? Is it from client to cloud? What is it? And what are the benefits that any user would actually get, generically speaking, from the Mist AI platform? And as this series goes on and as we start going into more videos, I'm actually then going to start going into all those deep level insights and configurations, etc., and really the full capabilities that the Mist product offering actually brings. So stay tuned. This is going to be a never-ending series. I absolutely promise you that. Really excited, looking forward to it. But for now, let's actually just get into what is Mist AI. And so here we go. Let's actually start talking about what is Mist AI. And to actually build up to what is this solution offering, we first just obviously need to lay the groundwork in terms of the common challenges and problems that have really been around for quite a few years now. What have we used from a networking, monitoring, troubleshooting, testing perspective when it comes to those particular challenges. Now, I never said I wasn't going to do slides, by the way, but good news is that I don't believe in death by PowerPoint. So the few slides I'm actually showing hopefully will be a bit more exciting for you. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But first, the port is up is absolutely not an indication of good. I used to be a field engineer in London for 3.5 years before I got into sales engineering. And I can absolutely tell you that a nice flashing green light blinking away, the LED light, does not, I'm sure we can all agree here, give any indication that the traffic going over it and all those services, whether it be real-time, non-real-time, delivered by TCP or maybe UTP or some other form of layer 4 traffic, and really the underlying application, online gaming, online banking, whatever it is, YouTube, video streaming, etc., There's so many applications these days. It's not enough just to look at a flashing LED light and say, oh yeah, that's acceptable, that's passing really good. And my point there is that actually when you start looking at what we've had from a network monitoring, testing perspective, there's lots of tools out there, of course, and in some cases, or in a lot of cases, these tools are still used today, and in some cases that's valid. But if you start looking at SNMP monitoring or maybe syslog monitoring, do they really have a valid use in the market today? Honestly, that's not for me to say. but they're still around. But how much real information do they give you, and how much can a user go into that information to really detail down into specific insights? Really, they're just looking at the network as a whole. But you need to go deeper than that. You absolutely need to go deeper into the network and really into those applications and the users that are driving those applications. My wife isn't going to be happy that I'm mentioning her here, but this is something she will sometimes say to me. David, the internet is broken, and I cannot tell you, and I'm sure you agree, there are so many things wrong with that statement, with that comment. And it's usually because the Wi-Fi here in our home is just gone down, or some engineer in the area is just doing some kind of maintenance. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The point there is that generically speaking, you've got technical people and non-technical people. And my wife falls into that non-technical category. She just doesn't understand networking. She's not even in networking, so she's not going to even know what really the internet is and what's wrong with this. David, the internet is broken actual statement. And that's important because when you start looking at end users, the majority of end users, whether it be ourselves, students at university, or maybe you're visiting a hospital, or maybe you're visiting some kind of retail outlet, etc., 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 the majority are non-technical. We don't understand networking, and yet we expect a great connection all the time, wherever we are, hotel, etc., and that needs to be delivering us that great experience. And so we don't want to be complaining to our IT teams or to the hotel management or to the store concierge that actually something's not right here with my internet. There's something broken, there's a lag, or it's jitter, or it just feels like something's wrong. That in itself isn't a great experience for any user, whether it be technical or even non-technical. And so really what my point here is, ultimately on this slide, is that when you look at those traditional tools which are still around, SNMP monitoring, syslog monitoring, or maybe you've got test tools, active or passive test tools, or maybe you're doing NetFlow, SFlow, IPFix, etc., etc., and you start looking at the different types of personas, technical versus non-technical, really what we need to get into is what is the end user's experience? How are they connecting to that Wi-Fi network? If you look at your laptops right now, presumably you're all on a laptop, and if you're using your mobile phone, don't do this, but if you've got a laptop near you, just have a look, and where I'm asking you a question, just see where that RJ45 port is, see where that Ethernet port is, and I guarantee you the vast majority of you will not have such a port. The laptops which are built today don't even have Ethernet ports because we all like our laptops to be smaller, lighter, and thus we've sacrificed that Ethernet port over the years. And so everyone everywhere is relying on a wireless first approach, i.e. Wi-Fi is leading the way in connecting these end users. But Wi-Fi isn't perfect, just like any technology. And so there's aspects within the Wi-Fi technology and the Wi-Fi not standards, but just the technology and using the air as a medium, that will actually impact the end user's experience. And that is us. That's us going into the stores. That's us going into a hotel. That's us going into universities, maybe going into hospitals, maybe going into a particular enterprise office, whatever it may be. We expect that wireless connection. We expect our applications through that entire network to be giving us the best experience actually possible. And thus, the point there, if I was to sum it up in a single sentence, is that connectivity is not the same as experiencing a great connection. Anyone can do Wi-Fi. Anyone can do Wi-Fi 4, Wi-Fi 5, Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 6E, Wi-Fi 7 when it actually comes, when it's standardized later this year. At the time, that is 2024 as I'm doing this video. Anyone can release these different standards of the 802.11 specification and broadcast within that wireless frequency band specific channels, of course. But that doesn't actually mean you're getting a great connection. So if you're in a store somewhere, just for example, and you're connecting up to that wireless network, to that Wi-Fi network, you don't want it to take too long. And I can speak from personal experience here. When I, with my wife and children, go to a store, Sometimes mummy and daddy just want to sit down and have a nice cup of coffee and chill out a little bit. And I want to stream something on my mobile phone to keep the kids entertained. Now, if it's taken too long to connect, they're getting frustrated, I'm getting frustrated. If there's this lag and there's packet loss and you see that circle wheel going on the screen, that is not a great experience. The kids are going to get upset, mummy and daddy are going to get frustrated. I'm sure most of us who are watching this video can agree to that. So just because you've got connection to that network, whether it be Wi-Fi network or a wired network, i.e. a switching network, it's not the same as saying you are going to get a great connection through that network. And this is where the Junipers Mist solution and the capabilities really come into it. And here I'm just going to do a little bit of a drawing and lay the groundwork into what is the Mist AI platform. So let's start right at the beginning. So right at the beginning, we've got ourselves, we've got the users. Now by that, I'm actually not only really referring to ourselves, but I am referring to those devices that we all carry. This is my picture for a mobile phone, by the way, I do apologize. Or maybe it's a particular laptop. That's my picture for a laptop. Actually, that's not too bad, I think. Or maybe this is my picture for a tablet. Oh my God, that is terrible actually. But we've got all these devices here, which a particular user, us, actually have. And roughly speaking, it's every person in the digital world these days will have at least 3 devices, at least 3. If you think about it, that actually speaks truth, because I've got my mobile phone, I've got my laptop, and then I've got my iPad. And I've actually got more than that, because then I've got my Xbox and other devices at home, so easily 5+. But nonetheless, we have our devices. And as I was saying, typically all these devices are connecting over the air to different Wi-Fi access points. And so you have a Mist access point here and a Mist access point here, and they are all delivering some form of channel within that wireless frequency band. Wi-Fi 4, 5, 6, we're not going into the wireless standards yet. But we have our Mist access points, which is allowing these devices to connect to the wireless network. But these guys, these APs, these Mist access points cannot function on their own. They need some form of switch. So then what there is from Juniper Networks is EX or enterprise grade or QFX switches, which actually have all that port density. So access interfaces, trunk interfaces, etc. And depending on options, you've then got routing capabilities on top of that, and that will vary from user to user. But these access points are then connecting to a particular switch or set of switches, virtual chassis, non-virtual chassis, doesn't matter. And then as you go through the enterprise network, we then get right to the end where at some point where we have got, or Juniper Networks has got, the wide area network, or this could be SD-WAN as well. And from Juniper Networks, there are actually 2 different offerings. You've got their session smart routers, or you've got the SRX, traditional appliances of WAN, SD-WAN, IPsec tunneling, etc. Now, here you then go into, and I'm running out of space, so I'm just going to draw it all the way over here. We then go into that cloud here. So the cloud is where a lot of users are moving to for obvious reasons. So if you look at the cloud, users will be utilizing pretty much some kind of Microsoft Teams application, or maybe they're using Zoom, or maybe ServiceNow, or maybe another form of SaaS-based application, etc. There's lots of applications, you get the idea. There's all these applications that are hosted somewhere in the cloud itself. Now what Juniper's Mist AI solution is doing is it's offering client to cloud visibility. And that is very important because all these devices here are connecting over Wi-Fi. And there's lots of aspects, there's lots of areas that can impact this Wi-Fi over the air connection, such as Wi-Fi interference or even non-Wi-Fi interference. And then you've got roaming as well. And you've also got to look at capacity. What is the capacity of that wireless network? Is the coverage actually there? Are the users connecting within a certain amount of time that is acceptable for your expectations, shall we say? Are there any DNS, DHCP, ARP issues? Can these clients actually up to that gateway. So we're able to have visibility from the devices themselves into the Mist access points, over the switched wired network, over the WAN-SD-WAN, and all the way up to the cloud as well. And this is very different because what the Mist AI Cloud is also doing to empower this is all of this is contained within the Mist Cloud. So you have your own instance, you have your own organization, and that instance is housed somewhere up there on Juniper Networks Mist Cloud. And this is powered, as I call it, by artificial intelligence. AI is such a huge buzzword these days, and that's because it's just game changing with what it can actually do. And using AI, Juniper Networks Mist AI is able to determine, these devices here, they're having DHCP issues, and these are the problems that's causing DHCP or coverage or capacity issues. And this is actually what you need to do to resolve those issues in the first place, i.e. Mist AI will actually give you recommendations to resolve those networking issues. It can even, if we look at the switched wired network, it can even detect, using artificial intelligence, are there any missing VLANs that are going from that switch port to that access point? Is there an increase in bum traffic as well, or broadcast unknown unicast multicast traffic, and a lot more? And so the AI is giving us that deep insight, that visibility into client to cloud for the devices connected to the access points, to the switched wired network, to the WAN-SD-WAN, SD-WAN, all the way up to the cloud itself, and the applications obviously going over it. And this is important because if you look at it from an end user's perspective, regardless of the actual industry or vertical or sector that you're actually in, you're able to see what's happening on your network. Where is it happening? How is it happening? Why is it happening? Who is it impacting? But then have the AI actually feed you intelligence on how to resolve those issues. And something else that the Mist Cloud has and is just born out of is, and I mentioned it during my opening, is microservices. Running out of space here, the slide as always gets pretty interesting pretty quickly. But microservices. For me, microservices, the way I picture it, the way I think of it is, think about a really big puzzle, a 1,000-piece puzzle. And you've built that puzzle, that 1,000 pieces, and each one of those little pieces of the puzzle represents a different service. It has a different function. Now with the Mist AI or the Mist platform, what it can do is it can update these microservices. It can actually take away pieces of that picture, pieces of that puzzle, and yet magically the solution remains up and running all of the time. And that's why I said during the beginning that the Mist platform is growing significantly, because there's weekly updates on this particular solution, and it's able to keep up to date with end users' requests and new features. And typically every 3-4 weeks you see in Mist's public documentation a whole new batch of feature requests has actually been released. And if you think about that compared to what other vendors have been doing for all these years, where they've had on-prem, maybe up in the cloud, but certainly not a microservices solution, there's just no real competition in terms of scalability there and agility as well. And one of the microservices of Mist is something called Radio Resource Management, or RRM. And there's lots of these microservices. And this is really when we start talking about the access points themselves and the devices, the clients that are connecting. And this is important because these devices, they're moving around, aren't they? They're going from one access point to another access point. We're portable, we're mobile these days. And using AI, what the Mist Cloud is doing is it's learning the environment, it's learning the interference, it's learning the coverage of the actual wireless environment. And the radio resource management is constantly querying all of these, what's called the service level expectations, to learn how is the environment and how are the users connecting to this environment. And through the RRM, it's able to periodically actually adjust its power in terms of the Mist access points, as well as the channel. So if using radio resource management and AI, if the AI determines that if I increase or decrease my power or if I change channel, if that will improve the user's experience that are connecting to my wireless network, then it will actually do so. If it calculates it will have an adverse effect, obviously it will not. And this is just one of the many microservices that you just use with Junipers Networks Mist AI. And it's just constantly learning, constantly adapting. And it's because of this man. His name is Bob Friday. He's now the Chief AI Officer at Juniper Networks. He's one of the founders of Mist. Now, Mist wasn't born out of Juniper Networks. It was its own company and it got acquired by Juniper Networks before I came to Juniper Networks, 2018, around about that time. But he was one of the founders, and he is one of the godfathers, I've been told, of Silicon Valley. He has over 100 patents of Wi-Fi technology, Wi-Fi standards, amendments, etc., etc. I don't know, to himself. So needless to say, he's extremely smart. And he created the Mist access points originally, before Juniper Networks acquired Mist, with microservices in mind and with artificial intelligence. And he was actually part of the Cisco Meraki acquisition, and he formed Mist on the back of that. And there's obviously a bit of an interesting story there, as you can obviously hear. But to create a solution with artificial intelligence at its core from day one, with microservices and with cloud scale, really does give a lot of power when it comes to the AI, because AI, and he's known for saying this, with any AI you need lots and lots of data. And Bob Friday always says, as I was just about to say, to have great wine you need great grapes. To have great AI you need lots of great data. AI needs lots of great data, and that is why every Mist access point and EX-QFX switch and connected SD-WAN, SSR or SRX firewall appliance is sending up a lot of states of telemetry, i.e. rich data, to the Mist cloud every minute. If you look at it from a Mist access point, typically there's about 150 plus states of telemetry which is sent to the Mist cloud on connected clients and devices every minute. And that gives the Mist AI, the capability to put all that telemetry through the artificial intelligence and really understand what's happening on the network. How are these users connecting to the network? Are they connecting successfully? Are they connecting within a certain acceptable amount of time? If not, why not? Where? Why? What do you need to do to resolve that? If it's the wireless network, i.e. Wi-Fi, is there interference? Is there non-Wi-Fi interference? Is the RSSI actually too high? Is it too low? Is the coverage there? Are there not enough capacity, or is there not enough capacity on the access points? And a lot more. We'll go into this. But he created Mist from the ground up, and needless to say, he's been very successful with this. And I say that because if we look at the timing in terms of the Magic Quadrant over the last few years in terms of time, in 2018, so these are just all images I've pulled off Google. There's no copyright, etc. here. But you can actually see in 2018, Mist Systems was in Visionaries, but Juniper Networks was right about here. See where my mouse is? Niche players. So around about 2018, Juniper Networks acquired Mist, saw the capabilities, saw the AI, the microservices, and the cloud scale, and a lot more capabilities, of course. And in 2019, you can now see Juniper Networks Mist Systems all together. I assume that's when obviously everything went through in terms of legalities, etc. But now Juniper Networks Mist is together, is one, and we were in Visionaries. This is as of 2019. But if you go a year later, if you actually look at where Juniper Networks has gone in just 1 year, we went from Visionaries, I'll go back, in 2019 to 2020 being above Extreme, being above Cisco, and just beside HPE Aruba. And we know the story behind HPE and Juniper Networks these days. Won't say any more on that. But it is a very interesting year. And that is because of the microservices agility and the way you can scale in the cloud. And of course, the power behind artificial intelligence. But this is 4 years ago. If we then go to 2021, whoa, in 2 years, we went from visionaries to leader of the leader part of the Magic Quadrant. Juniper Networks just excelled above Cisco. I'm saying that from a factual basis, looking at the Magic Quadrant, above Extreme Networks, past HPE Aruba, and now leaders of the leader part of the Magic Quadrant for enterprise-wide and wireless LAN infrastructure. I had to look at the title there. And in 2022, maintaining the same position. In 2023, this is a blurry picture. I couldn't find an actual good image on Google, but Juniper Networks above HPE, above Extreme, above Fortinet, above Cisco, and above Huawei. And if you look at the most recent, we can now see 2024, Juniper Networks was still leaders of the leader Magic Quadrant for enterprise-wide and wireless LAN infrastructure. Above HPE, above Extreme, above Fortinet, above Cisco, and above Huawei. And if I actually just bring up the part of 2019 here to 2024, look where Juniper Networks was when it acquired Mist, Junipers Mist. It was all the way down here in Visionaries, but in 4 years, 5 years technically, it's gone from what was round about here to all the way up here. That is due to the microservices in the Mist platform, the ability to do these weekly updates, the ability to have cloud scale, the ability to have these deep insights into the wireless, i.e. Wi-Fi network, into the switching wire network, into the WAN. It's what is referred to as a full stack solution. Although you don't need full stack, you could just do Wi-Fi or switched, etc. You get the point. But this is an absolutely astonishing journey that Juniper Networks has been on. And this is a much nicer slide from Juniper Networks compared to the drawing I done a few minutes ago. I do apologize for my drawing. I do know it's not very artistic. But this just really does sum up what Juniper Networks Mist AI, which is now within an AI native platform, is actually doing. And the AI native platform I'll touch on in just a second actually. But we have these devices and users, and this is just a quick recap. They're connecting to that wireless network, to that switch, to the SD-WAN, and at some point the apps are going into the cloud. But also users have apps maybe hosted in a cloud data center, or maybe on an on-premise data center. Really, just first of all, the ability to have deep insights into user experience, i.e. these guys ourselves, or if we're connecting directly into that wired network, the ability to have the deep insights into what's going wrong with these users' connectivity, why is it going wrong, where is it going wrong, how is it going wrong, and using AI have recommendations on how to fix those problems. Or even if it's radio resource management, the network just self-heals. And this is why Juniper calls it experience first. This is Juniper Networks' approach when it comes to networking, because we are taking, Juniper Networks is taking, I should say, I'm trying to keep as unbiased as possible here, but with the experience first networking, we're actually looking at the experience of those devices that are connecting to that network and having the deep insights and the proactive remediation to have that best time to innocence, either mean time to resolution, as best and as quick as possible. And also what Juniper Networks on its AI native platform has actually done is it's extended the AI operations, the ops experience into the data center as well. In the data center, I'm going to start a different series of videos, and the product from Juniper is called Apstra, but they've actually extended their AI operations from the Mist cloud into the data center as well. And Apstra is all about building the intent of the data center, i.e. how do you want the data center to look and feel like, and configured and connected, and the routing policies, etc., etc. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into networking in a data center. And that's what's referred to as day zero. Day one is when you're deploying that intent, that you've created onto those connected network devices. And day 2+ is the operational side. It's where majority of users, regardless of it be data center or enterprise, spend a lot of their time in networking, because then you're not doing any configuration changes or hardware changes or swap outs, It's where you just want users to be actually connected. And so what the AI native platform has done, and native's really sort of like the giveaway here, is that using this native platform that has artificial intelligence, when we look at the day 2+ operations of Apstra, this information, all that telemetry that you get through Apstra, is then sent into the Juniper Mist cloud, where the artificial intelligence then puts all that telemetry through something called Marvis Actions. New feature that's been released by Juniper Networks. Very exciting. But not only has it extended via the AI native platform the AI operations into the data center, it's also done it to the core, metro, and edge routers as well. So it's not an area that typically I'm involved in, to be honest, but obviously there's different MX, PTX, ACX routers from Juniper Networks that reside within here. And all of the telemetry and data that you get out of these routers for all these different type of networking, you're now going to get sent into Juniper Networks Mist platform. Again, native platform here, just for data center and enterprise and core metro edge routers. So you get all of that right data in terms of what's happening on the network, what's going right, what's going wrong, and all of that correlating information through AI in terms of what you need to do to resolve those issues. And that's where you then get that right response as well, because it's all been pushed, as I just said, through the artificial intelligence. So first you get the right data, then you get the right response, and this is all over the right secure infrastructure. Not only that, there's other pieces that are missing on this slide. Something else that Juniper Networks Mist platform does on the AI native platform is network access control. In Juniper Networks Mist language, this is called access assurance. Oh, I'm running out of space, so let's just do it down there. Oh God, I'm terrible. But NAC, access assurance. So this is where typically as 802.1x has been around for a long time, where we want to authenticate and authorize these devices and users that are connecting to that wireless network, or even maybe to that wired network. And majority of the time, that 90% of NAC is 802.1x, but NAC or access assurance from Juniper Networks Mist is done on the cloud. And I kid you not, this takes minutes to set up. You don't need to have a qualification, certification, or an industry expert to configure this. I've done it a few times, and if I could do it, literally anyone could do it, as I always say, but I generally do mean that. But that's not the only thing. You can also, if you have a campus fabric, which is utilizing, or maybe you're looking to move to utilizing EVPN or VXLAN, control signaling or data plane tunneling, respectively, technologies in a campus fabric. So think routing at the access, or routing at the core, routing at the edge, etc., etc. There's different topologies. You can build this on Juniper Networks Mist. You can literally deploy these, I wouldn't say new, but fairly complicated, especially for EVPN, actually very complicated protocols from a user interface in a matter of minutes. Deploy the campus fabric, and then you have, for healthcare, for universities, for anyone that needs that type of agility when it comes to users roaming around, and to have that layer 2 connectivity regardless of wherever you are on the campus. This is incredibly powerful. And this is a bit of an old slide. I'm recycling it a little bit because it's still important. You need to know what is the hardware. Sometimes you forget, oh, actually you do need hardware. Even though Juniper's Mist is a cloud-based solution, you still need hardware, of course, on site. So there is, for the wireless infrastructure perspective, you've got different Mist access points. You've got the AP33, the AP45, you've got indoor APs, outdoor APs, APs with internal antennas, APs with external antennas, of course, depending on use case, you've got a variety there. And then you've got this BT11, which is really only for BLE or Bluetooth Low Energy. And as I also said, not only is Mist about the wireless infrastructure, but it's also for the wired infrastructure. Hence the Magic Quadrant, where we've got these EX or QFX series switches. 24 port, 48 port, 10 gig, 1 gig, 25 gig, The list does go on, of course, but you have these different capabilities of switches here. And then for the WAN infrastructure, there's then a difference between the SOX series and the Session Smart Router series. The SSRs are utilizing a standard SD-WAN technology called Secure Vector Routing, or SVR. The SOX series is really doing traditional SD-WAN or WAN technologies when you look at IPsec, and that's really what a majority of vendors on the market are actually doing. From a licensing perspective, the licensing is very straightforward. You have Wi-Fi assurance for the access points. You have wired assurance for the wired switches, and then you've got WAN assurance for the SD-WAN-WAN SOX or SSR series. And then you've got these optional attributes on top, so the user engagement. So that's the ability for healthcare, retail, legal, offices, etc., anyone that wants to engage with their end users or guests, customers, etc., then user engagement is there for these Mist access points to actually engage via a unique VBOE or virtual, doesn't physically exist, but virtual BLE beacon. I'll be showing in a later video at some point how quick and easy it is to actually deploy these VBOE beacons. And then you've got asset tracking, the ability to track an asset. So the ability to track assets themselves. And then you've got Marvis up here. Marvis VNA, Marvis Virtual Network Assistant, Marvis Minis as well. It's not on here. It's a new addition to Juniper Networks Marvis feature. This is 100% unique. I promise you this. You will not find anything else like Marvis out there. Marvis is taking all of that data, all those states of telemetry you're getting every minute, and it's crunching it, it's putting it through its predictive analytics and correlation engine, and it's learning these are actually going to be user impacting events, and thus it will give you actions to resolve those user impacting events on the wireless, on the switched, or on the WAN infrastructure before they actually impact end users themselves. And this is what's referred to as the Marvis actions. You've then also got a virtual network assistant, not shown here. This is all included in Marvis, but the ability to ask AI via this chat box, this pop-up chat box. We've all seen them. That's not unique. You know, you get on an insurance website and you see these pop-up and dialogues, etc. But the virtual network assistant is quite literally, I could go onto my Mist org and ask, hey Mist, how is client David Townsend? Hey Mist, how is David Townsend's office? Hey Mist, how is David Townsend EX Switch? How is Microsoft Teams? How is Zoom? What are my 100 problems as such for the day? Etc. And then Marvis VNA takes that human language, goes away, analyzes all that state of telemetry, pushes it through the AI engine, and comes back with meaningful, proactive results for me to see, how is David Townsend? How's my connectivity? What's wrong with my connectivity? And what do I need to do to resolve those issues? And then you've got Marvis Minis as well, the latest and newest addition to Marvis. And again, all of this is included, but the ability to test a wireless network without any wireless clients being connected. So if you look at it from an office or a store, distribution center, university campus, people go away overnight to sleep, etc., and everything closes down. And Marvis Minis is there testing, is DHCP working, is DNS working, is ARP working, are these applications working that are critical to this business? And if any of these are not working, let's do a dynamic packet capture, let's capture this information and let's feed this into the Marvis action so that the operational team, they are actually able to see these networking and end user impacting events on the network without any users being connected to that wireless network. So when users come back in the morning, whether they be your end guests, your end customers, or internal staff, you know that wireless network is there ready and waiting for them. All of this on a Mist cloud built on microservices and with artificial intelligence. I don't know about you, but that is incredibly powerful. Oh no, I just forgot. You've also got the access assurance, as I was saying, it's right in the middle here. The network access control and also IoT assurance as well. So PPSK, private pre-shared keys. But this is done at cloud scale. And the way Juniper Networks Mist does this is very different to what has been seen in the past. So this plus a lot more, Zoom integration, Microsoft Teams integration, Marvis, etc. All of this we're going to be going through in future videos on this series. And so that's it, everybody. That is the end of this video. That is the end of this first part in this new series about Juniper Networks Mist AI platform or solution dash product, same thing in my mind, that falls within this AI native platform. Now this was quite high level, of course, and I tried to keep it as unbiased as possible. A few times I did slip up and say we instead of Juniper Networks, but yeah, I am human at the end of the day. However, I do hope you found that useful and informative. Please stay tuned for future videos because this is going to get a lot more interesting very, very quickly, because very soon, probably on the next video, we're actually going to start going into what are the service level expectations on the wireless front and what do you get within the Mist platform when you have users connecting to that wireless network, and what kind of deep insights do you actually get. And then we're going to go into wired, WAN, access assurance, Marvis, Marvis Minis, Marvis Actions, Marvis VNA, configuration for APs, for switches, for WANs, campus fabric. You can see a lot of content to actually go through, and that's why I said at the beginning that is why I'm so excited. And hopefully from this you've taken away and understood what is Juniper's Mist platform and why is it so different to anything else out there. And ultimately that is why Juniper Networks Mist platform has just excelled through that Magic Quadrant. And by the way, it is also leader of the leaders in a different Magic Quadrant as well, which is all about indoor location analytics. I didn't say that, but there's a lot of information to go through. Other than that, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give me a like. Any questions or comments, let me know down in the comments box. Loving hearing from you all. Other than that, thanks for watching and goodbye.